What's going on, everyone? This is Sheets, and I'm going to be doing this solo today. So we're going to take a little bit of time. We're going to go through the MLB slate. We'll take a look at the projections, look what pitchers rate to be best plays, see what stacks rate to be best plays. Then we're going to do our initial builds, hopefully keeping you apprised of what type of process I'm using to build the MLB slate for tonight. Then we're probably going to do the same thing with the NBA, again, with the open mind that it is an early look. And then if we have a little time, maybe we would do some NHL. So we'll just go and get started. So with MLB, the first thing I do look at is the weather. And because it's free, this part, I'm not opposed to showing this, I guess. So I look at Roth's report on the weather, and you see that Baltimore and Toronto is probably not playing, and San Francisco at the Yankees is in danger of not playing. So what we're going to do is we're going to probably, well, we ran projections as if Toronto and Baltimore were playing, and as if Yankees and San Francisco were playing. So we're going to analyze it from that perspective, but we're not expecting to play anybody from Toronto, Baltimore, and we'll keep an eye on San Francisco Yankees just to see, see who who would be a must play, if anybody. So you do have, after Yankees, San Francisco, Toronto, Baltimore, a very, very full slate on both DraftKings and FanDuel. So what I like to do, instead of just going game by game, I like to take a top-down look at the slate. Now, again, I don't do this too often, but I'm going to share the actual raw projection data. And this is the way I kind of look at it. This is not the way I'm building, but it's the way I look at it to get a sense for what the slate's going to look like. Yeah, way too early to root for anything in golf, honestly. But hey, better to be doing well than not be doing well. That's for sure. All right, anyway, the first thing that I look at is first of all, I sort my projections by this column H, which is Sheets value score. Now, for those who are the uninitiated, this is kind of my own take on points per dollar plus upside plus whatever, and it's how I kind of rate everybody. And the first thing that I look at on a slate like this, you see these two pitchers just totally laying over the field. And you don't see this too often. So when you're trying to think of what you're going to end up playing, it's a good idea to get a sense for what it's going to look like. And for those of you that have seen my sheets before, to have two pitchers 10 points higher than everybody else, and everybody else really close to one another, this is a tough fade as far as I'm concerned. The Pivetta-DeGrom combination. I'm not saying you can't fade it, but I'm just saying it's a tough fade. This is pretty dramatic a difference between the top two guys and everybody else. Just thought I would let you guys know that. Robbie Ray is in the, by the way, don't forget he's in the weather-related game, etc. And I also do see that they're projected to be highly owned, but I imagine it might be higher, given how much better they rate over everybody else. So that's the first thing I look at. Second thing, we'll take a look at the stacks, and then we'll look at the players. So the way I look at stacks are this says DK, right? So there's three different ways I rank them. One, and this is again from you can get this on TrueDFS as well, is the first way is just on raw points. Okay, what I do is I take the top 5 projected guys and combine them all together, and then this is like their raw projected points. Okay, and I sort them by team. And so if we were just sorting everybody by raw points, the Mets would be the top overall stack by a decent amount. Okay, like you see they have 46, and then everybody else is pretty close. So actually, Dodgers, Boston, and Oakland would be next, followed by Atlanta, Philly. So that's ranking system 1, and you got to remember that. So Mets, Dodgers, Red Sox, whatever. And now this middle column, this value stack, this is just essentially point per dollar. Okay, so this is where you kind of get your cheapos. So Miami is clearly the top overall value stack. And then you have a couple of others, of whom one of them happens to be the Mets. So I can tell you right now that if you have a team that is rated #1 overall in raw points and #3 overall in value, it's going to be the best stack. I mean, from a projection perspective, it's just always the way it's going to be. Now, on the right side, this modified stack score, what this does is it basically takes the sheet's value score of all these guys. And, you know, you take your best 5 there. And not surprisingly, the top 2 are Mets and Yankees. Excuse me, are Mets and Miami. So Miami, because of that value, they're showing up, and the Mets showing up as value as well. So if you had to, like, if you didn't care about ownership, this is what you would end up, this is what you would do. You'd play DeGrom and Pivetta, like I mentioned, and then either the Miami or the Mets, or a combination of the two. Like that. That's the way you would do it, just based on projections. Now, if you want to factor in ownership, this is one way I like to look at it, is you sort it by modified stacks, and this is the projected ownership of these stacks. And you see that the Mets are clearly the #1 overall as far as ownership goes, but you do say Miami is not really all that highly owned. So you might want to take a shot at Miami instead of the Mets, just to save some ownership. And then you look down here, say the White Sox, like they're certainly second tier, but they're almost 0% ownership. So that's another thing to consider. Okay. So what do you do then? Well, what I'd like to do is I'm just going to just put everything into SaberSim and see what I would end up getting. But before that, I wonder if it's worth even like seeing what these lineups would look like if you could even build them by hand. Okay, like you think you're gonna have a problem playing DeGrom, Pivetta, and the Mets. Like for example, let's say you want to play all these guys. Okay, let's get the Mets. And where are the Mets, by the way? I don't even know where the Mets are. Who do the Mets play? I don't even see them in the list. Oh, they're at Oakland. Okay. So let's take a look and see if we wanted to play, everybody wanted to play on the Mets, if we could even do it. So let's do Taylor, Lindor. Oh, we want to play probably Soto too. See, this is the thing. Like if you're rating them by this metric, you're getting different players. So let's just to illustrate, let's play everybody we want to play to show you we can't do it. Okay. So let's play like all the top guys. We'll play Soto, Alonso, Lindor, who else? Vientos and Marte, right? If we were just sorting by what you call it, by just raw points. So obviously, as you see, well, I shouldn't say obviously. I mean, it's very possible that there are, 3 super duper cheapos today that you can get to. And you know how you can kind of look at that? You could actually pull up the regular projection page and see just on sheer like points per dollar. Like, first of all, you get this Miami guy at 2,300. Not even sorting by point per dollar. Let's see. But at point per dollar, you get 2 Miami guys that are both under, really, really cheap. And then you get Kelenic at 2,100. So you actually could, like, if you really wanted to, and you don't need me to fill in the lineups to show you how you could do this, okay? But even at 2,100 a man, you could just about, no, you actually could. You actually could do this. So that's one thing. But you probably should do, if you want to play this way, is not play all of the highest priced guys. So with the question of who you're going to play, and again, this is presumed we're not even using SaberSim. We're just kind of hand building here. You probably want to definitely focus on these guys. So Lindor, Marte, and Vientos, and then maybe one of Alonso or Soto. Maybe that would, even out your salary just a little bit. Now, if you want to play Miami, you almost couldn't spend all your salary, right? I mean, because again, the reason why these guys are projecting all that well is just because they're so cheap, you know. So Wagman, Bride, Sanoha, Hill, Lopez, like to show you what those guys cost. This is why you got to put all this together. You got to put together the hand building with the, with the lineup builder. So let's put up Wagman and then Bride, just to show you how cheap all these guys are. Bride, 2,500. Sanoha. So it's not like these guys have a lot of upside. They're just really, really cheap. Sanoha, Lopez. Lopez at least spends some money, right? Well, Lopez is here, so let's put him here. How else can you put Sanoha in? Sanoha you could put in the outfield, and then also the last guy is Tyrone Taylor. No, it would be Wagman, Bride, Sanoha, Hill, Derek Hill. So like all these guys are 3,100. So you can't even spend all this. I mean, now you can go play Soto and whoever else you want. You know, now you go ahead, watch this. So you can play. If you really stack like all those Yankees, all those Mets, all those Miami guys, sorry. Then you go play Soto. You could play, by the way, you could play Marte easily. You know what I mean? But you could play whatever you want. Okay, like who's the most expensive shortstop on the board? You could play Betts, you know, something like that. So that's another way to do this. You stack all the Miami guys to make room for some of the high price one-offs or sort of whatever. Okay. So let's go ahead and build now, and then we'll do the same thing on FanDuel and see, or do you want to do FanDuel first and build them both? Okay, let's take DraftKings first. So the first thing we have to do on DraftKings, if you SaberSim, is upload my the dummy lineups which I created on DraftKings. This way, when we run the sims, it'll already have my lineups and my contests preloaded. Okay, so up they go in the SaberSim. You see them all got created. So now we go to build one, and we have let's upload our projections. And I upload them offline, but you could do it if you're a subscriber. I think you have it right there on the interface. Like it automatically pre-fills them in if you want. I exclude unlisted players. I do not create my own custom fields in baseball. And then you see that like all my projections replaced all the ones that that SaberSim had. You see the green means that I'm actually higher than SaberSim on some of these, and the red means I'm lower. And then we just don't make any changes, just fire off 5,000. Yeah, it looks like a couple of guys are making runs here, like DeChambeau's having a nice day. McCarty, he's having a nice day. I wonder if I have any of the McCarty. Probably not too much, right? I wouldn't imagine. Fitzpatrick's doing well. He's -2 for the day. I have an outright on him. Okay, so 5,000 lineups were built, and let's see what we have. So the first thing I want to look at is what we'd be getting without simming, without worrying about what anybody else is playing, whatever it is. And what you'll see is, not surprisingly, 70% DeGrom, 70% Pivetta. Okay, as I suspected earlier, due to the projections. And then we look at team stacks. Not surprisingly, about 45% Mets. Did not get as much Miami as I thought, maybe because you don't need it. And then after that, Atlanta, Boston, A's, other guys we didn't really talk about. So then if I wanted to, I could just upload these. But the first thing I would look at is the stack exposure. And I do see like mostly 5-mans. So what I'm inclined to do is always like X out these bow wow stacks, whether it be anything less correlated than 4-4s, I'll get rid of. So we'll play five zeros. That we'll definitely do that. But then 5 2s, 5 3s, whatever. And we'll get rid of the 3 3s. Apply that. And then we're just ready to kind of send these in. Okay, so if you did not want to use contest sims, and there are reasons not to in baseball, honestly, you can just go ahead and just kind of put these in, you know, because it's still building very high upside lineups. Now you could do other things like go more min uniques. And one thing you could do to test that, see average projection is 100.78. If you go min uniques 2 and you see if that, it doesn't go appreciably down. I mean, it really didn't. And there's no reason to not diversify and go more min unique. So let's just go to min uniques 3. And again, if you want, just save these to the contest for now, just so you know you have something. I always do that. Maybe I need to because I'm like older and stuff and forget things. But like, let's say I forgot to put my lineups in later. At least I knew that I'd done something. Right? Okay. So now these are all in there. But the next thing that we want to do is we want to run the contest sims. So you'll recall that within this contest field, when I uploaded all my lineups, it saved what I was playing, the relay throw and the monster, whatever it's called today, and it says what field lineups they want to use to represent what the field is likely to do. So I when it comes to Saber Sim and baseball, I usually just defer to their contest fields, but sometimes I might not even use them at all because I don't know what it is, but they I mean they really get you playing some contrarian stuff, and maybe that's just the way you're supposed to play baseball. I actually had a lot of success the last couple of days just going full on sim, so I think we might try to do that. So let's just go ahead and do that. Let's go back to build 1. And just to show you the delta between what you would be getting just, you know, ranking by Saber score and what you'd be getting running the contest sims, we'll show you. Yeah, exactly, Poe. Listen, if you're a Poe Degen stoner, you better make sure that you got lineups in already. You know what I mean? Because you especially, or someone with your screen name especially, is certainly more inclined to maybe forget to correct your lineups. Okay, so one of the 2 has been completed, and they've both been completed. So as you'll probably see, some changes are made in your in the exposures once you apply the contest sims. First of all, the pitching has not changed too much, and you know what that means, by the way? So this is my interpretation of this, is if you're not going to get much change between your exposures after you run your contest sims, which is going to factor in that other people are playing these guys, it means these guys are really, really tough fades. Okay, so DeGrom and Pivetta are really, really good. But I imagine the stacks are going to look different. Yeah, so once we run the sims, it's all of a sudden no more Mets. You know, now what the sims are saying is, you know what, everybody's playing the Mets. Well, I don't want it. You know, so right now the top owned stack, when you account for simulations and things like that, are actually going to be Colorado and Milwaukee. And I kind of like that idea. Okay. So same thing. I mean, we'll take a look at stack exposure. I guess those rules are the same. And now it's just a matter of whether we want to pick direct fill and autofill, and not to get too into the weeds here. But I'm just going to put direct fill in here because I have a little bit more control over what my lineups are looking like. So let's go ahead and put in this pile. So what I've gathered from this exercise, specifically to DraftKings, is that those two pitchers are strong. The other thing is that the Mets are probably a pretty good play because even though they're probably going to be really, really chalky, I'm still getting a full like 13% of them using an algorithm where which is very, very contrarian. So Poe is saying the long lines on new customers dispensary. Let me tell you something. There's a dispensary out here. Again, it's just honestly not my thing anymore. But my wife had knee surgery back in September, and I wanted to get her some edibles to maybe help her sleep. And I didn't really know what I didn't really know what to do or whatever. But there's this amazing dispensary out here. It's like the freaking Apple store. Like it's incredible what it's become. It's called Happy Days, and it's you go in there. I'm telling you, it's totally slick. Like they have the whole thing down to a science. They're like meeting you there with freaking iPads, and know exactly what's going on. And I tell you, listen, my wife has this. Oh, my mom does this. My mom does this, and they totally hooked me up and gave me the right thing. It's like it was an amazing vibes. It's a really, really well run operation. Anyway, so that is the my weed. That's my weed story. Not even my weed story. My edibles. Anyway, okay. So that is going to be DraftKings. And again, the only thing I would say is that this Baltimore-Toronto thing, we probably want to end up exiting. Okay. But the good thing is probably by 6 o'clock when we rerun this, these guys will be X'd down anyway. But this is obviously something to keep in mind. All right, let's take a look at FanDuel, and we'll do the exact same process. All right, FanDuel, pull up the slate, and we're gonna go top down. We're going to take a look at the FanDuel first from projections, and not surprisingly, it's the same. It is the same. Pavetta and DeGrom just kind of just lay over the field. There's really no reason to play anybody else. And then when you look at these stacks on FanDuel, let's see what that looks like. Again, same technique. First, let's look at straight raw points. Mets, and then the Dodgers show up a little bit more over here, okay? With value, wow, the Mets again. So Mets, and more Mets as far as FanDuel goes. And then Oakland actually shows up a little bit more. So if I were going to build something on FanDuel, it would be one of those pitchers plus Mets and A's. And just to, again, show you what that might look like. We'll build it by hand, and then we will, well, first of all, did we save any? Did we save any baseball? Yeah, we did. So let's first, I don't know, let's just build the lineup. So let's just say we play the most expensive one, which would be DeGrom. And let's say we want to play Mets and A's. I mean, we could probably play whoever we wanted here. So let's go for the throw. Let's play Lindor, Soto, all these guys. So let's go Mets. Let's go Lindor. Or maybe you can't play all these guys. So okay, it's interesting. Soto. Well, let's just go by modified. So Lindor, Vientos, Alonso, Marte. Let's do that. Lindor, Marte. Marte's very cheap. Vientos. Where's Vientos? Oh, he shouldn't. It's not an outfielder. Vientos. And then we have 29.75 left. Very easily could play other guys from Oakland. So let's look at these guys. So let's say we want to play well, we know we could put in our hero Soderstrom or Langoliers. So you put Langoliers in here. Vientos is third base, first base. So we could put him actually at third base. And then we can go ahead and put Langoliers in. We put Langoliers over there already. So Butler, Soderstrom. We definitely Butler. Definitely would want him. 2,900. Put him in the outfield. And then second base. Looks like nobody from second base is going to fit in here, which is sort of interesting. But we'll fill that in later. And then one other guy, utility, Langoliers. We did Rooker, maybe. Did we already play him? Rooker, 3,600. That makes it a little hard. And then you just might need to find a cheap one, 2,300. So that's what I would do hand building wise. I would just game stack the Mets and the Mets and the A's, and then just go ahead and then just put in DeGrom or something like that. It seems like pretty easy. So let's download these lineups. I mean the dummy lineups here. And we'll do the same thing with FanDuel. We'll go to contests. Upload the entries. You already downloaded them from FanDuel. Polar Bear utility. Boom. So now, again, our dummy lineups have saved. Our contests are already pre-populated. And now we'll go ahead and we'll put in our projections. FanDuel. And yeah, it's going to be the same thing. We're going to end up probably Xing out either by force or because we feel like it, the Baltimore game. But again, we're just going over a process here. Exclude unlisted players again. And build 5,000. Tell you who's not my friend right now is Russell Henley. He's like plus 100. He's -1 for the day. Giving him +6. Sanjay M is having a nice day. Scheffler's sitting there at -4 at 1:23 p.m. ready to go. Okay, so same thing. So when we looked at the builds, it's actually not as egregious with all these pitchers. So with FanDuel, 48-22, yeah, I guess it's pretty similar. What about team stacks? Mets, and all Mets, and a little bit of Oakland. So I'm curious to see again. Well, first of all, let's look at the stack exposure. Let's make sure we get no bow wow stacks. So I just want 4 3s and 4 4s. I know Bobby would disagree, but to each. All right, so let's you uncheck these and you hit apply, and then it gets rid of all of them. Actually, see, I forgot to uncheck the 3 2 2 2s. And then 3 3s, 4 2 2s. Wow, it really is going to give me a hard time here. But okay. Processing. Boy, this is This is not a good sign, by the way, when you try to get the kind of stacks you want and Sabres really fight you on it. That's not a good sign for your builds. I'm just saying. But okay, so let's first of all, after we did that, how does that affect our stack exposures here? I wonder if that really does anything to them. Meanwhile, my internet seems to be kind of freezing a little bit. I hope you guys aren't frozen here. We'll see. You didn't play Marte, so he's fit. All right. So it can still be Mets, whatever. So let's hit contest sims. It looks like my computer is rebelling just a little bit. Not bad, but it's rebelling just a little bit. So let's see FanDuel. We're running the sims and see where we end up. Okay, so it's now processing the sims. And now we get all angels. So again, this is what happens, you know. When you apply the sims, you get much more contrarian. You still get some Mets, but overall you're taking shots here. And listen, as you know, I have no problem playing the Angels. They've been very, very good to me. And let's look at the players here. What kind of pitching exposure we get? Still the same pitchers. So it's not, you know what I mean? Like those are the pitchers you're just going to play, I think. So I'll upload these here. So now we upload these. So now again, if like you said, Stoner, just things kind of happen. Yeah. Filthy animals. Yeah, okay. So as long as we're here, you know what I mean? Like it's 12:30, we do have some time. Let's do the same thing for the NBA. Okay. Until my computer freezes, which could happen sometime soon. Find the NBA projections. And we're slowly but surely getting near, you know, the playoffs, you know, where all of a sudden it'll be amazing how all these players who have these mysterious injuries all season somehow can all play 40 minutes. So let's pull up SaberSim, NBA, find that tab somewhere. Wow, so we got a big old slate here, huh? We have a big old slate and some questionables as usual. So before we build, let's just take a look, at least for now, at what the value might look like. You know, who's good point per dollar plays, who might not be, or whatever. Yeah, I'll do that when we run the builds for the NBA Depot. All right. But I will encourage you to go to SaberSim's YouTube channel. They have maybe 37 different videos explaining exactly that. But let's just see. So we look at this, and we'll sort this whole slate by point per dollar, and then you'll see that where this like incredible value exists, like all these New Orleans guys, and I really have not heard of any of them. That's not true. But you have all these guys are over 6x, 5 New Orleans guys. So yeah, look at all these 6x guys, like all through the board. So what does that mean? What does it mean when you have all these 6x guys? What it means is that these guys, meaning Jokic, Giannis, etc., are extraordinarily easy to get to. Okay. Wow, they did it. They made Giddey 10-5. That's amazing, huh? It wasn't too long ago we were playing with 5,500, right? But he's been doing it. That's for sure. And all these guys up here are all affordable because of all these 3K guys. And that's why I like to look at it from this point of view, is so that when I get all those guys, I'm not, I know why this is. And when I'm getting all this Jokic, even at 13K, and all this Giannis, even at 12.5, etc., it's because of all the existence of all those New Orleans guys. I'll look at those guys again. Here. Reeves, Jerome Robinson, Earl, all of this over 6x. This is definitely the most players that are projected over 6x the whole season. So yeah, they're all going to get owned, but maybe some of them won't. That's the thing. If you want to just spread out all these guys, I mean, I wouldn't blame you, honestly. But look at all these New Orleans guys. Jesus. All right, so let's take a look. Let's just build and see what all this translates to. Now, the first thing, again, we have to do, which I didn't do in advance, and this might put a monkey in the wrench, so to speak, because as you can see, my computer's kind of freezing a little bit. And normally it would take me like 2 seconds to get all these things uploaded. Okay, so same thing. Let's go upload entries. Download template file from DraftKings. I think I saved dummy line. I just saw them earlier. Okay. And now we will do the same process, and then we're going to get to your question, D Pope, about the autofill and the direct fill. I think I just went over this with Jordan the other day. So again, same thing. I'm upload these things, these projections, remote offline, on my own files here, but they're right there on TrueDFS for you. All right, same thing. My projections compared to SaberSim's. My reds means I'm lower. My greens means I'm higher. And I'm curious what we end up getting. I wonder if we get like 100% Jokic or Giannis, something like that. I wonder if you get 100% Jokic because you could play all those 3Ks. That's what I'm predicting. And every time I think that, I get like 5% Jokic. So we'll see what we actually get. For those of you that play MMA, by the way, we're going to have, I'm going to do a lineup construction video a little later today. Amazing card tomorrow. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to watch too much of it because it's Passover, but that's obviously more important. Should be able to see the last half of it, though. I mean, our Seder's a little earlier than most, so if I could get my family out of there by 9 o'clock, that'd be nice. I didn't mean that. I meant that if my lovely family is done celebrating and wants to retire to their homes and we have chilling out, then that would 9 o'clock would be a decent time for that. I didn't mean to say 9 o'clock. Get my family out of there. If you could turn the Passover Seder into a UFC watch party, that would really be a legendary accomplishment. I think you definitely win you win being a family man if you can actually pull that off somehow. But that's a rough one. Okay, so let's hit run contest sims. Before I do that, again, same thing. And remember what we just did in baseball, where we saw all this difference between what you would do when you'd run the sims and when you wouldn't? I want you to remember that as we do basketball. As you can see, come on, who's better than me? 100% Jokic. All right, and the reason for that is you get 100% of these clowns. Okay, so let's then run the contest sims. And remember in baseball where you were originally getting like 80% nets or something, then you ended up getting 12 once you applied the sims. Watch how the NBA works. Okay, the NBA does not do the same thing. So NBA, it ran the sims here, and it really didn't change all too much, except it bumped another guy up to 100%. Like it's giving you 100% Lester Quinones, whoever that is. 100%. I mean, look at this concentration up here. Okay, so it's just a question of how you want to fill these in. So to D Pope's question, you have two choices. You have direct fill and autofill. And all direct fill does is it just puts the lineups in order, like into your lineups the way they're supposed to go. Okay. But the way autofill works is a little different. So autofill, what that does, and it's such a subtle difference, I really don't know why it's such a big deal. But what autofill does is this. It'll take it in order of the way you have them listed here, and it will say, okay, let's sim everything against the alley-oop. It'll put the best lineup in that goes to the alley-oop. Then it'll take that lineup out, rerun everything for the fadeaway, and then put the 60 lineups that fit the fadeaway in there. Okay? I don't want you to get too hung up on direct fill versus autofill, honestly. But just for the purpose of this one, we'll put in autofill. Now you might want, I mean, if you're getting 100% of like 3 guys, maybe you might think that, oh, maybe I could go min uniques more than 1 or 2 or something like that. But I got bad news to you. It's really not going to help you up here. All it's going to do is just give you more combinations down here. But nonetheless, this is the slate for the NBA tonight. There's all these look at these 5 Pelicans, and then you get to put all the highest priced guys in. So let's go ahead and put these in the contests. Okay. All right, let's do a FanDuel. Same thing. We'll take a look at the FanDuel projections tonight. Look at it by point per dollar, and very different actually. It's like all the OKC. Maybe there's no OKC on the maybe it's only OKC on the FanDuel. Maybe it's only on the FanDuel slate. Well, let's go ahead and go into SaberSim, and we'll see what we're going to get there. So here's your question. When you plug in your own ownership, does that change the lineups even when running against the contest field, or it only changes when we sim it? Okay, so what it'll do, first of all, it gives us a different 5,000 fields. Okay, it's going to give us a different 5,000 to work with when we plug in our own ownership. And I'm going to show you why that is in a moment. Let's first download our lineups. I didn't put my dummy lineups in yet. Now, this is like kind of a pause the video thing. Like, why do you think that it changes your 5,000 lineup fields or your 5,000 lineups that you're building when you use your own ownerships? And we'll give you the answer in a moment. Okay. So first, let's do what we said. We'll upload our projections. And then we will build 5,000 lineups. And once these 5,000 lineups are built, I will give you the answer to Depop's question of what changing the ownerships does to your whole process. Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, it is creating a different 5,000 lineup field. Okay, and I'm going to show you how it's ranking them in a minute. So this is going to be, as this is finishing, it's going to list the 5,000 lineups, and the question is how are these 5,000 lineups being built? Like, of the infinite lineups that you can create, how are these 5,000 being selected? Okay, and when you rank them, how are you ranking them? And you'll see here that these are being ranked by Saber Score. Okay, so what Saber Score is, if we get into the metric here, it's sum of my projection plus 0.1 times 95th percentile outcome of the lineups, which is important. And then you'll see it's negative. It dings it 0.3 times the average adjusted ownership. So, and the thing is that it uses your ownerships to make that calculation. Okay, so that's why when you put your own ownerships in, it's giving you a whole different pool, and certainly a whole different ranking of that pool. When we looked at it here, again, just using, Saber Score, again, all the Jalen Williams from Oklahoma City, and then Jokic again, and then all these OKC guys. And now we click this button, hit the run the contest sims. Let's see how much it changes that. Yeah, I guess there's no OKC game on the, which is pretty badass. That, like, the one game that's not on the DraftKings slate, is that true? Is it really not on the DraftKings slate? Let me just see. This is really cool, right? The one lineup, the one game that is not on the DraftKings slate is going to be the highest owned on the FanDuel slate by a lot. It's pretty neat. Okay, so when we run the contest sims, anything change here? No, it's still all of Jalen Williams and all the Jokic taking up. Well, Jalen Williams takes up a power forward spot, not a center spot, which makes it more understandable why this is the case. For this one, we'll use autofill. And because FanDuel does not have a bigger buy-in, the only thing I'm playing is the MME tonight. sorry about this, John. You're gonna have to go back and rewatch it. Which games actually matter that aren't going to be punted? You mean baseball? I don't know. Let's go back and watch the watch from before. Sorry about that. Okay, so yeah. So what have we done? So we've done MLB DraftKings, MLB FanDuel, NBA DraftKings, NBA FanDuel, and what we've done again is we've gone over process. So you can go back to the beginning and see what we did. We took a look at the projections, which are all available on TrueDFS. We took a look at what we would do if we hand built. We took a look at what SaberSim would give us, but with just Saber score, and then with running contest sims, both for all those sports, and we actually uploaded them now. Now again, the slate's not going to start yet, so we have to do that all over again later. Just again, you want to just to close it out. No, you know what? I'm not going to do the hockey. Adam might do his own hockey video later, so I'm going to leave that to him. But trust me, it's literally the same process. Actually, you guys can leave if you want, but just because I did promise maybe some hockey, I am going to do it anyway. So let's just go ahead. So the rest of this is really just going to be hockey if you guys don't want to hang around for that. So it's going to be the same thing, a little different though. We'll go into, look at the raw projections. And it's very similar to baseball, okay? So what you want to do with hockey is you want to really just focus on stacks. So when you look even at the projection page, you're really just trying to find like guys that are from the same team that are looking like they all project well. And you see right off the bat that all these Edmonton dudes are all on the same line pretty much. They all project great. But the problem is going to be tough to get to them because they're expensive. But these are the guys you're going to want to play. And then if you didn't want to do that, maybe, I don't know, Tampa, something like that. But I'm pretty sure that they're going to want you to play Edmonton. And we could look at that and when we look at the stacks. Now, does this look familiar for those of you that have been, here for the whole hour? Doesn't this look very much like the Major League Baseball slate sheet that we looked at? Remember, we got raw points coming over from the left side. Edmonton, right, standing out. Then Tampa. Value. Remember, we talked about this with the Marlins earlier. Edmonton, #1 in both value and raw points and here. So Edmonton is clearly the #1 stack. Now, they're going to be owned through the roof probably as a result of that. But it's good to know what you get yourself into, when you deal with the slate. So same thing. Go into hockey. Go upload our dummy lineups. Same thing as before. We upload our dummy lineups. Then we upload our projections. Same thing. And build 5,000. And let's see what we would get. Obviously, we'd be getting, as I mentioned, all of the Edmonton, right? And we'd be getting 100, 88%. we would do the same thing we did with baseball. We would make sure that we didn't get any of the bow wow stacks. So I really only want to have 4 2s, excuse me, 4 3s, 5s, 5 2s, and then maybe some 4 3s. Even though it is a small slate, I think we can get away with this today. You don't need any 3 3s. I mean, this is really getting greedy on a small slate asking for this. So we'll stop it around here. Yeah, perfect. So same thing, all these Oilers. So, but now let's run the contest sims and see if it gets us off this Oiler chalk. Yeah, it actually does. It gets us to more. No, it still gets us to Edmonton, but only 58%. So I like that actually. So we're going to go ahead and put these in like that. So it's getting us the best stack, but not all of it. I kind of like this idea. So essentially, you know, I went through actually quite a bit of analysis, but in the end, I mean, it really takes you only like a half an hour to like upload and load and play all of your, you know, as long as you have this process down to play like 3 sports like this. I hope this helped you guys, and I will see you guys, or me or